What's up, guys? Welcome to the James Boudreau podcast, where I sit down with people from all walks of life to talk about their stories, experiences, and ideas. This podcast is brought to you by Watson Motors, the official studio sponsor. If you're in need of a Jeep, Ram, or Dodge, or whatever, these guys have you covered with great deals and even better service. So hit them up in Manistee, Benzie, or Ludington, or check them out online at watsonmotors.com. Listen, support the people that support the show. Now let's get into it a little bit. So I've been dying to start this like I started with the sheriff. Mm-hmm. So, natty or not?
Oh, definitely natty. Definitely natty. My entire life. I compete powerlifting natty, drug tested. So my whole life. I mean, the only thing I've done is pre-workout, creatine, some protein, that's about it.
Jesus, man. I mean, but the effort's there for sure, dog. Like, when did you start lifting?
When I was around, so I did a little bit in high school, but I wasn't strong, wasn't into it. Like, it just, we'd have a class, weightlifting class in high school, and that's the only time I lifted. And then my best friend to this day, we're about 24, he moves into an apartment in Grand Rapids, and they offer him a free gym membership. So he's like, oh, you got to sign up with me, you know, it's free. So I sign up, and I have to pay for mine. He gets his free. I think a month later, he moves into a house in Hastings, about 20 miles away. So now I'm stuck with the gym membership. Yeah. So I stuck with it. I had to pay for it, and boom, 23 years later, I'm still at it.
What's the goal? What's the goal?
The goal, battle of father time, you know. Yeah. You know, just try to be healthy. You know, there's been a few times where I've had some stops in the middle where I just don't lift, and I can feel just that. You can almost feel your body changing in a negative way. So I talked to Melissa, my wife, and I said, look, I'm not telling you, you know, I know it gets, you know, you get worried that I go to the gym too much, but I feel worse when I sit home. Yeah. So I said, here. I'm not trying to get out of doing anything, but for longevity reasons, I think going to the gym is the best option. And she supports it 100%, whether I go once a day, twice a day, 7 days a week, she's okay with it.
This episode is brought to you by Brandon Ball, broker-owner of Dwelling Realty, Keller Williams, Northern Michigan. Are you looking to sell your home? Then look no further. When you list your home with Brandon Ball, you'll get a trusted advisor who will guide you through the entire selling process. With extensive knowledge of the local market, he'll help price your home competitively to attract the right buyers. And with proven marketed strategies, your home will be seen by the most qualified of buyers. With 17 years in the business, you'll have someone experienced who's on your side. Contact Brandon today to get started selling your home. 231-690-4981. That's 231-690-4981. Or Brandon at dwellingrealty.com.
Because she understands it keeps me healthy.
Is it predominantly powerlifting? I you know what? Only because I'm a little ignorant to like a lot of time. I've been working out for a lot of years. Sure. Right? But strength or like, I mean, you definitely have a pretty substantial build. Mm-hmm. So are you lifting to keep the bulk, or is it more?
I just like going into places and being one of the strongest guys in the gym. Yeah. So I lift for power.
Nice.
Powerlifting. That's what I competed in, doing powerlifting events and stuff like that. So that's what it's mainly focused on. I don't know. I can't let it go. I'll tell myself, you know, you're getting up there in age. Might need to lose a couple pounds and, you know, start doing some high reps type stuff. And I'll get in the gym and it just won't work that way. My body says no, lift more. Yeah. Lift more, you know. So that's kind of where I'm at. Now I'm in a phase where I want to be stronger now than I ever was before. And then that way I'm still in my prime, I feel. And then once I'm not to that level, then, you know, aging process is caught up to me.
Yeah. You know, I'm 100% in your camp. I mean, I'm trying to do whatever I can do to just be healthier longer. You know, the most healthy I can be 20, 30 years from now, it starts today.
Sure.
You know, or yesterday or 10 years ago. You know, keep that going. I love looking at shit online of dudes that are in their mid 60s to early 70s that still look fucking jacked.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, obviously they've been doing the work forever. You know, it just doesn't happen overnight. Although I have seen some where like these older dudes all of a sudden just flip a switch and they're like, fuck it. I mean, either I do something now or I'm going to croak.
Sure.
You know, and they start getting ripped. But then, you know, so one of the things I wanted to kind of pick your brain about it, do you do anything like, you know, maybe annually or biannually, like blood work to kind of see where everything's at? Or have you done anything like that?
I've done blood work as far as, you know, as far as the doctor goes. Everything's been normal, you know, nothing right in line where a 47-year-old should be, as I should say. So nothing, I haven't had to step up and take any outside assistance, I guess. I think at some point I will get to that level, but again, that's another thing I'm trying to beat, is having to go rely on something else to do this stuff. So if I keep it up and I feel like I'm the same level that I have been, I don't think I have to go there yet, but I'm not against it.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Like I told Goots when he was on the podcast, so I'm taking clomiphene right now.
Okay.
And I've been taking it now for almost a year. And so I get biannually blood work done, which does like a whole hormonal thing. And the goal is, you know, to just get everything as optimized as possible, whether that's like you're deficient in vitamin D, you know, increase that. The next time we check your blood work, we'll see where you're at. You should be at this level. You know, even stuff like zinc, you know, I do a little, you know, magnesium, you know, shit like that to just kind of keep everything in check. When I first did this a little over a year ago and got my blood work done, it was like a scale from 0 to 100 being fully optimized, and I was at like a 41.
Okay.
And I bring this up because when, you know, no shade on my doctor, I still get an annual physical every year, but like asking for the blood work to kind of give me a full scope of everything that's going on with my body is like impossible to get. So this company that I use, it's doctors. I mean, I have one-on-one visits with an actual doctor. You know, it's not some fly-by-night, you know, we're going to send you a bunch of shit. And they never tried to sell me a thing. In fact, when it came down to like vitamins, which they have a whole pharmacy full of shit, they were just like, I mean, you can literally go to Walgreens and get this if you want to.
Okay.
And this will help you out. This will kind of bring you back up. But my test was really low. And I didn't want to get into injections. It's not... I mean, as long as I can stay away from a needle, the better. But clomiphene kind of works the same as test, but it just helps you naturally produce your testosterone. And so once it, you know, and if I stop taking it, my test just goes back down to where it was. It doesn't go below that. And in some cases, they say it can stay up a little bit, which is great. But I'm telling you, bro, like I went into this not searching for that. I just wanted to get a full, you know, printout of what's going on, because I'm just trying to optimize, right?
Sure.
And when I got to my testosterone, it was like right about 400, maybe a little bit below. And I'm like, you know. So I said, well, I'll try the clomiphene. We'll see how that works. And I mean, like in 1 week, dude, like my energy and my mental state, just, I mean, I'm fucking cheesing all the time. I'm just like super happy and just go. And the last time I got my testosterone checked, it was like at 1100.
Oh my gosh. Oof.
Overnight, dude. And like everything. So I was, even little things like the shoulder pain from lifting or, you know, little tweaks here and there just seemed to go away. And if I overexert at the gym and I end up getting that little bit of muscle soreness, it's not like where before I'd be like, fuck, I can't bench for like a week.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because I ripped something. Yeah. But now it's just like, it's so that's my personal experience with it. And my hope is that I can kind of sustain this a lot longer so I don't have to go on testosterone. I know I will.
Sure.
Because I love the way I feel. And I've got some pretty big goals, and like with Goots, you and I are the same age.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you're going to be forever, because once you start that, there's no going back.
No, your body stops producing it naturally, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. I wouldn't be opposed to something like you're saying, is something that helps your body keep producing it naturally, or assist it to produce naturally. Just injecting testosterone be a last case scenario for me, just because I know that's it for life. That you're relying on that.
And you know what's fucking crazy about this shit right now is it's so. Are you online at all?
As far as
like social media
yeah.
Stuff like that. Okay. Yeah. I tried to stalk you. I couldn't find you.
I have an Instagram account. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
That's about it.
So just to talk about Instagram, it's like so many people are talking about what we're talking about right now, but then there's all these use cases where like guys in the gym are they're young and they're jacked and they're like, I'm on testosterone. Well, you're fucking 27. What are you doing?
Right.
Like you're ruining it for your whole life. For what?
I've heard horror stories about that. Is guys younger than me, and they've been on it for a while, and now they're off of it, and they'll come to me, just natural conversation. I'm at a 0 testosterone, and I'm like, what? Then why'd you even start it? If that was a side effect of it, why would you even start it and then stop it? I couldn't get to that level.
And then maybe he was on something else too.
And it could have been. Absolutely.
Because I can remember a few years ago, just before our gym moved from like where Subway is over to the new spot.
Sure.
There was a younger guy coming in the gym, and I mean, he was you could almost hear his body squeaking. He was so tight, doing chin-ups. And I mean, he was like the big shoulders and just, and he'd come in with another dude. And I'm like, man, that dude is definitely running something. And then I didn't see him. And we moved into the new space, and he came in one day, and he was just so skinny. And I heard him talking to another dude, and I think he was talking about the cycle. And he's like, yeah, and I went through all this depression and anxiety after I got off of it. And I'm like, whoa, bro. It's not worth it.
No, not at all.
I listened to, I heard a couple kids. When I say kids, I mean, these kids were probably in their early 20s, and both had very nice physiques. And one was on the Stairmaster, and one was doing lat pull downs, and I was on the other lat pull down machine. And the kid came off of the Stairmaster and walked over to the other one, and he's like, how long were you up there for? And he's like, I don't know, about 40 minutes. And he's like, you're not even sweating. And he's like, yeah, I know. He's like, dude, you have to sweat if you're going to take that stuff I gave you. And it was like, well, what the fuck did you give him? What did you give him that he has to sweat it out?
Right, he has to sweat.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, that's there's so many people actually gym scientists now trying to create their own stuff, so get worried about that, who you're getting it from. If you're gonna do it, then find somebody reliable, like you said, you weren't even looking for it and you found it online, and it works for you. And that's the way to do it. Is don't find somebody in the gym because you don't know where they're getting it from. And
yeah, I mean, like mine's a prescription.
Sure. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Hey, and there's pros and cons to it, but right now I don't have any of the cons. Everything is going really well. But yeah, do you listen to Derek from More Plates, More Dates? Have you ever seen any of his stuff?
I have
Big
not.
YouTube channel.
Okay.
And he is he's been making the circuit around. He talks to a lot of doctors, a lot of gym people, stuff like that. But he to your point, he talks about how people are at home like making their own shit and then
yes, absolutely. It's crazy. I mean, gym chemists, gym scientists just creating their own stuff in a barrel and injecting it, and if it works, it works. But I mean, Rich Piano was a big guy, but
oh god,
he's no longer with us, and he's I probably beat him in age by now. So
oh, for sure, dude. But at his peak, he was injecting everything.
everything he could.
3-4 times the dose of everything.
He wouldn't even tell you the whole list because he didn't want to give off that negative stuff. He knew it was bad for him, and look what happens.
Wasn't he doing that like oil shit too?
The synthol oil?
Yeah.
But he was massive. I'll give him that.
Yeah, he went crazy though. He did go crazy with all that stuff. But so like what are you doing for like your like a diet?
The same diet I've been on.
Just whatever?
Just whatever.
No shit.
No. I'll watch it a couple times when I know I'm gaining some weight and haven't been in the gym as often as I should, but I've never been a diet guy. Never, I'll do a couple like crash diets here and there if when I first powerlifted, I wanted to compete in this lower division, so I had to lose a couple pounds and just crash dieted for a week. Did some of the bad stuff called cardio.
Don't skip your cardio.
Yeah, so
Sam Sewell could be like, I know you didn't do your cardio.
But I do cardio every day. I get out of my car, I walk to the gym, and that's about it. Walk back to the car. But, and I lost weight, but you know what I did? I lost strength as well, and didn't feel like I did as well in my first competitions as I did. So I competed at the level. So I have a buffer weight between where I'm at and the max weight you can be in that division now, and that was a better choice for me. So, but yeah, I have people coming to me at the gym a lot, and they're like, "Well, what do you do for diet?" And I'm like, honestly, at your age, you don't diet. You just eat.
Yeah.
You just eat.
When you're young, for sure.
You just eat, and I mean, I hate to sound like
It's working for you.
Like it. That's the end all be all, but I see it, I eat it. We go out, it's oils and fats and grease and all that stuff. So nothing to change the diet up. That just means I got to work harder in the gym.
That's so the opposite. I could put 10 pounds on in a good weekend.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy. And just to stay level, I mean, we eat super clean at the house.
Do you?
And we don't go out to eat.
Okay.
I bet you we go out to eat because of like the oils and the salt and all that shit. Like if I go to pick a restaurant and just get the most basic meal, my hands swell up. It's like Jesus Christ, because I'm just not used to it, you know. But again, I get on the scale. It's like, how the fuck did I gain 2 pounds today?
That's how I feel about just coming back from vacation. That's all we did was eat out. There's one thing you do is eat the whole time, and I'm worried about. I haven't been to the gym yet, but being on the scale is just seeing it. But it doesn't matter what I do. If I lose weight to cut, I'm at the same weight. If I gain weight, I'm at the same weight. But I'm always at 250, always, no matter what.
So your gym workouts, are they broken down like chest day, leg day?
Chest day, yep. I do a single item, every single body part every day. So chest one day, I'll do mixed bis and tris the next day, shoulders, back, and then legs. And then on a 6th day, I'll hodgepodge it together, something that I feel like I didn't hit as well during the week, and do that on a Saturday morning. And then I've been doing a lot of 2-a-days, so in the morning it's all core, 5 days a week. Try to get 5 days a week, but 4 a.m. workouts in the morning.
Yeah,
you can miss a couple.
Yeah, I'm trying to lose like 20 more pounds, and I'm doing that because I have a big race in September, and I need to be leaner for that race. So I don't know if it's counterintuitive. I love lifting so much that it's making it hard to lose weight.
100%. If you lift weight, you're not going to lose weight, unless you're just out there high repping and, just don't care how much you lift. You're just lifting to stay. If like me, I cannot lose weight at all. It's just, this is how I'm supposed to be built, I guess, so if I was trying to lose weight, if I was trying to lose 20, it'd be I'd just ditch everything and go straight cardio.
I know, I keep telling myself, because usually what I'll do is I'll do the cardio in the morning. And that, for me, is just a way to crack my body in the
Sure.
getting moving, you know. And then in the afternoon, I'll get a lift in. But when you talk about like the high rep stuff, are you lifting to failure? What's your warm up look like? Is there, you know, like I watched Arnold Schwarzenegger once during one of these interviews where he was talking about what was the documentary, Pump or whatever?
Iron.
Yeah.
Pumping iron
or something. Yeah. And he was talking about how some days he wouldn't even warm up. He would just go right in and he would call it like scare the pecs or scare the muscles and just start fucking busting out iron. I tried that once and I thought I was going to kill myself. I also watched him do this thing where he was, and I don't know, because you know Arnold liked to fuck with people a lot.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know if this was true, and so I've been doing it, and I don't know if it's counterintuitive, so I'll ask your opinion on it. So like I will do it, I'll start with, say, the bench, and I'll do a set, and then I'll go right over to the lat pull down, because he was saying that really pumps up your chest more. So there's part of me that's like, is that real? But I've been doing it for a while, and I can really feel like all of a sudden it just feels like it's a lot higher, and like all the blood is really rushing there. You know?
And I can see that working. I'll do some stuff where, especially like on a bicep workout, where I'll keep the weight. I'll do a heavy weight, 70 pounds, and I'll just mid-range and just kind of pump it so there's blood flowing into it. My biceps under tension the whole time, and then I'll hold it, and then I'll switch arms, but I'll keep that arm up, and then go and do the same thing with the left, and then go full range with a lighter weight, and really get that stretch to get that blood flow into the muscle. And I bet that's the same thing he's trying to accomplish with that. I mean, I wouldn't mix it, lat pull downs on a chest day, but that's just the success I've had. I wouldn't mix those two, especially because I feel like lat pull downs are such your back.
Yeah,
that's where most people fail, is their backs, because it's such a big muscle. Like I said, I have a hodgepodge day. Usually it's more back on Saturdays, because it's one of the biggest muscles you'll train, and you can't get it all in.
No.
So, I couldn't even see mixing it in with my chest day. My chest days are full.
Yeah.
2 hours of just blasting chest.
That was the other question I was going to have. So 2 hours of just blasting your chest. Now, the weight that you're putting up is, I would say for our gym, 99% of the time, you're the only one in the gym that is pushing that kind of weight, especially at the time in the morning when you go. How are you getting your max failure pushes if there's nobody there to help you? So
we plan it out. My son, he goes to the gym with me usually. So he goes. My chest day is on Monday. He's my spotter. He's been my spotter since I started powerlifting. I got him into powerlifting, so I'm his spotter. So a lot of times that's the only time I'll max out, is when he's there to spot. Other than that, it's anything I'm comfortable with. So even I don't look at what my sets are. I look at my overall number. So usually when I set a goal, let's say I take 405 for the day, and I want to, most people go, well, I want to do 3 sets of 6 or whatever it is. I want to do 21 reps of 405. So how many ever sets that takes me, I'll get there. So if it's only 3, then I got to do 7 sets. But the next week, if I do the same thing, I want to do it in six sets or less. So I'm getting to a number where I want to be at. So I know I'm getting stronger because I can do it in less sets. So instead of just focusing on failure and anything like that, I get to a comfortable failure, not all the way to max failure, unless it's a max lift day.
What about your shoulders? How do your shoulders feel? I haven't done a traditional bench press in probably 2 years. I'll use the dumbbells, or I'll use that, that one deal where you just, whatever the frick it's called, little bench pad there. Because it just, because I can't, if I hit the bar, I'm definitely I have been doing something wrong or had been doing something wrong, because I had one hell of an impingement in this shoulder, and I thought like everything was just torn apart in there, but it was just an impingement. I could not get rid of it. I could not get rid of it. And when I quit doing bench, I was just doing like push-ups on a bar for, I bet you, 4 months, and then just went to like the dumbbells and, you know, fly cables and stuff like that to keep it strong, but to get that motherfucker, I thought I was dying.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have the same shoulder problems. You know, I get soreness. You know, especially I had to buy a shoulder wrap just to sleep in. You know, and then, but the best thing I can say is keep it going. Like, I mean, it's going to hurt. This isn't, you know, you almost want it to hurt to know that it's working.
Yeah.
So, I've had golfer's elbow, tennis elbow, everything like that. I mean, talk about a pain. It's pain, and just powering through it. What I've learned to do is switch up your grips on, say, traditional barbell bench press. Is when it's shoulders, you're usually too far out, and if I have that pain, I'll go a closer grip, so that way it's not so much relying on the shoulder when it's farther out. You're relying on your chest and your shoulders together as a combination. So that's helped me a lot, especially when you have that pain and you go to an incline press.
Yeah, dude, that's the worst.
It's the worst, right? So then I've moved in closer grips, and then it's kind of taking that pain away until that pain actually goes away.
Kind of work through
if that makes sense.
Yeah, work through the pain, pussy.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying it, but, you know, if we were all taking days off because we were sore, I don't think the gyms would have anybody in them.
It's just like running.
Oh yeah,
you know, when everything hurts, but it's like, all right, well, if you get the first mile, I don't give a shit if you're running a 5K or a marathon. You got to just get through the first mile, and everything starts to work. But you don't do cardio.
Oh, I do. One of my friends, he's in Indianapolis. He's got me signed up for a Tough Mudder.
Nice.
In August, so
those are fun.
Yeah, I'll be doing one of those for the first time.
Yeah, you'll get it. I mean, so it's like lighter duty than the Spartan, which I've never done. Mm-hmm. But the Tough Mudder is kind of like it's still going to be hard.
Oh yeah.
But it's like a lot more fun atmosphere.
Sure.
Where like that Spartan race is like, you know, it's like going to the CrossFit games.
Yeah. Yeah. See who can do everything the best.
Did you ever fuck with CrossFit at all?
No, never. I mean,
me neither. I know that Sangs had a little thing going here for a while. I was trying to get it up off the ground, and it was before I was really getting into much. And they're crushing down in Ludington.
I heard, yeah.
I mean, it's not CrossFit. You can't call it CrossFit.
Right.
But, I mean, they do cold plunges, sauna stuff down there, the working out, kind of like CrossFit, whatever he calls it. And it's a neat deal down there.
It sounds, you know, I always kind of wanted to go just to see how I'd fare, but it's just a lot of movements all at once, and talk about joints.
Yeah, no shit.
That'd be the one thing I'd be worried about, you know. It was funny. I had one of the guys that trained down there, and showed me a video, and he's up here, he's doing shoulders, and he's got big plates on the end of the barbell, and I'm like, this really works. I mean, I didn't expect that. I was like, you're doing 135 shoulder presses for reps? And he's like, oh no, those are like 10-pound weights. I'm doing like 65 pounds. I'm like, oh, you sucker. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that shit can be intimidating.
Plates. Yeah,
for sure. But so we should get into your role as the public safety director.
Sure.
For the tribe. Now, I've got the public safety deal up from the website, and I kind of just perused it, but there were some things that I was interested in talking about, like what being deputized with the sheriff's department, how that looks, and how you kind of navigate the safety aspect of the the tribe and what that encompasses, and then how you kind of work with the sheriff's department, that kind of mutual respect. One thing who the fuck was I talking to? Maybe it was Goots when he was on. How long have you been working for the tribe? You're a member of the tribe, right?
Yes, I am a tribal member. I've been with the tribe for 20 years. There was a year where I was here with the city police for a year.
I remember that, yeah.
And then been director for 10 years now.
So, 20 years. How long has the enforcement side been there? Not since day one. And the reason why I asked that is because I can remember, dude, this is what pisses me off about humans. I can remember when the law enforcement arm for the tribe was developed, and people were like, I'm not fucking stopping for any tribal police there. I don't recognize them. And you'd see I would remember I was driving down the road on 31 and I saw a tribal officer trying to pull somebody over, and the guy was just flipping the bird out the window.
Yep. I've been there long enough to do that. So yeah, it's been there late 90s, 96, 98, somewhere around there. And those issues we faced them since then, and not so much now. I mean, people, especially with the cross deputization agreement, there's some confusion about it, but that's our goal as people of the community, is to go out and educate rather than enforce what we can and can't do and things like that. So all we're there is to help, not to just because we're cross deputized doesn't mean we're going to sit there on 55 and run speed traps, because that's not our goal. Our goal is to assist the other law enforcement agencies in the county when obviously being in here in northern Michigan, people say we're over policed, but I can tell you a few times where there's one or two officers on the road, and thank goodness we have backup from the other agencies. So that's what we're there to do, and it's a service that the community gets for nothing. So that's so you still have some people that still believe in that, but they're quickly informed. Hey, we have this agreement with the sheriff's department. This is what we can and can't do, and for the most, but I'd say it's been a drastic change since I started.
Oh, I would agree with that.
Yeah, drastic change. So
yeah, that was when you said you're not out doing speed traps. How does it work with say something comes over the radio? I mean, you're dialed into the dispatch, correct?
Yes, so, we use Manistee dispatch.
I'll let you handle that.
Sorry, I'm just trying to turn it all off for you.
Copping. I get it.
Turn it all off. Okay.
So something comes through. Are you guys quick to act on that, or is that something you have to wait for, say, the sheriff's department to acknowledge that they're going to handle something? Or
we're not the primary dispatch outside of our jurisdiction. So if something happens, say inside our jurisdiction, on the res, the casino, other properties that we have full jurisdiction over, we're primary dispatch. Other than that, outside of our jurisdiction, we're usually asked to go, because there's people tied up on other complaints. They're doing other things that they can't facilitate at that time. So with the state police having a detachment here now in the county, getting more deputies on the road, we're not always primary, but we do handle our fair share of state complaints as well. State complaints would be anything outside of our jurisdiction.
But being deputized, doesn't that mean your jurisdiction is the county?
It is. Right. And by that, I'll say, yes, that is our jurisdiction, but we wear three hats at the tribe. So we have our tribal hats, that's any tribal laws that any tribal members violate. And then we have federal law, that any either tribal members that get arrested for high felonies, attempted murders, drug possessions, to a certain extent, those would go to Grand Rapids to be seen before U.S. District Court. And then we also have state complaints, which is our third jurisdiction. So when I say our jurisdiction, the tribe's overwhelmingly responsible for our jurisdiction.
Right.
And then when I say outside our jurisdiction, I mean outside helping as a county deputy, because that's where we basically are at this point. We're deputized as county deputies to enforce county and state law.
That's a big umbrella, dude.
It is.
Jesus.
It is. People don't understand. It's a whole thing. We have to understand not only who we're dealing with, but what race they are, so that we can put them through the right court. And so that's a question that not many people get asked. Is, if it's a tribal member versus a state. Tribal member suspect versus a state victim, and it's a high enough felony, they'll go to federal court in Grand Rapids, because that's just where it ends up. And they have to. There's this whole matrix, and we have a list of it, and you have to cross it off and make sure you're all on the same page when you do it. So prosecutors, luckily we have a new prosecutor in Manistee prosecutor's office. He was our prosecutor for the last 4 years, so he's well aware of
he understands the nuance.
Absolutely. 100% he does. So it's good having him there, so he gets it. And that's why we try to explain, hey, this is why this happens, and we're not there as primary law enforcement in the jurisdiction of the county. We're there as to assist, and whether that be us as primary or as just assistant secondary officers as well.
What if a non-tribal member goes out to the casino or is on the reservation or any part of the reservation and commits a crime?
Sure.
Is that a federal crime?
It can be. There's a set of standards that the feds will prosecute. However, the process we found beneficial, and there's been case law on the federal level that has given us this option, is it's just easier to work with the state prosecutor's office rather than go to a federal level on all levels. The jails here, the feds have a holding facility in Nuevo. I got to arrange transport for that. I got to get on with the AUSA to confirm that we have charges, and it's just a whole headache. But with here, we know the process. We've been working in it long enough. Being tribal police, you wouldn't think we would know the state process. We've worked with the state process probably more than we've worked tribal and fed combined.
Yeah, back in the day, the rumor in the street was if you fucking around, you found out quick out there that you were federal, you were like going to prison forever.
Yep, that was the rumor, right?
That was the rumor.
Well, I wish that would, there were some instances where I wish that were true, but no, it's the feds. They try to keep it out of court as much as they can, but when they need to put the hammer down, we've had some instances where high risk cases, and it's like, wow, they took it to them this time.
Yeah, for you guys, I wonder sometimes, like, how hard is it to, when could be a few thousand people in the area, in a very small confined area, to have to deal with. I'm sure I don't gamble.
Sure.
So the few times, like I just went out there for the chamber gala, and I'm just like, oh, there's so many fucking people in here. Like, and you have to have seen some wild shit in there.
Oh yeah.
Let me tell you a quick story. So I worked at the casino when it was the little one before the big one built, and then I moved to the bigger one as that got completed. But I remember in the original one, I was like a food and beverage supervisor, and they had that little cafeteria. And one night there was a husband and wife and daughter. The daughter was just like 21, maybe 22, and they're just. This isn't like a protect and serve thing, but I got to tell this story because this is just like the wildest thing that I've seen.
Sure.
They're playing the slots, and it was, midnight or so, and the husband has a heart attack or something, or a stroke, falls on the ground. And security comes over, they call EMS, and they're working on him. And daughter's crying. The wife is just
playing the
fucking slots. They are taking him into the bus, and they're like, hey, you want to come to the hospital? And she's like, it'll be fine. And he died, dude.
Oh, wow.
And while she's there playing. And I'm like, that is some wild shit.
That's, doesn't shock me. It doesn't blow my socks off that you've seen that story, because there's some stuff that, there's some tunnel vision that goes on there, and, power goes out, or fire alarms go off. That's one of my biggest fears, fire alarms going off, and everybody's sitting there still, and it's like, well, it's a fire alarm, you got to get out, and they'll still be waiting to push that button. So you can see it. I think we've done a good job of trying to prepare for those situations and understanding, use those as scenarios and going, hey, what if this person sits there while we're trying to evacuate somebody or evacuate the whole premises, and so we've done a good job. We've done some trainings on that and trying to make sure that everybody's safe when and if something like that should occur.
I don't want to put you in a spot or get any trade secrets or anything like that, but one of the things I'm really interested in is you've got maybe somebody trying to take the casino for money or whatever. Mm-hmm. Of course, you've got an insane surveillance department in there, all the security, working. You got to work together on that, I would assume.
Oh yeah. We work together. We do trainings quite often with not only our departments, but we include the sheriff's department, the state police, the city police, the fire departments, the EMS services, just because that's all that's going to go. We can sit there and say that it's going to be something pops off at 2 a.m. We're going to have 4 cops trying to take care of it, because that's everybody that we have. So that's why we include everybody. And I think the biggest godsend of all of it is surveillance of all of it, because we will have live, most scenarios don't have lifetime, capabilities. We'll know exactly where to go. We'll know who it is, what it is, so I think that's one of the things that we have that most places do not, with hospitals and schools and things like that. The surveillance will probably be there if the building's on fire, more than likely. There'll be somebody manning those cameras, so it's crazy.
We had, this is some years ago, and it was, I can't remember how long ago it was, but the current casino was up and running, and my family owned the Moonlight Motel and Marina. It was still operational, and we had these 2 guys who rented a room. They were there for almost a month. These 2 guys, and we had this little coffee shop area where you could get Maxwell House coffee and some packaged donuts at the motel.
Sure.
These guys were always in there smoking cigarettes, eating all the donuts, drinking the coffee, and they were like, yeah, we just go from tribal casino to tribal casino, gambling. But their process, they ended up getting kicked out. All right, I'll tell you how they got caught in a minute. But they basically paid their bill they were making enough money to stay at the motel and eat popcorn and maybe get some comp meals at the casino. But they were doing some shit where there was some machine, I guess, that had a pie on it. Cherries would fill up, but they would watch those machines because they knew or had a pretty good idea when they were going to hit. But they would also do this shit where they would get a Players Club card and just stick them in random machines and leave them, and rack up points, and that's how they were taking the casino for comp meals and shit like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I think that's a low level thing, but they're like, oh yeah, we get blacklisted from usually a casino at some point. They'll find us and get us out of there. But I mean, I gotta imagine if low level shit like that's going on, there's all kinds of like money laundering or drugs and sex trafficking. I'm not just saying, because and for your job, it's just got to be wild sometimes.
And it is. And I think the biggest thing with those types of issues is the information sharing that we all have. So it's not only the police side of it. So all 12 tribes, we have our own group where we information share about known people that do all these things that you just listed. And then the casino also has theirs with all the other casinos. So a lot of times we know who's coming and going before they even get here. So that's one of the good things about working in a tribal community is that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to take care of each other and ourselves. And we find that out a lot. Somebody gets hit at one place, we know about it, especially if it's multiple places, like you said, we get blacklisted by the time they get here, they're already blacklisted because we already know that they're coming, they're on their way. So that's some success stories with those types of issues. Drugs, there's been, low level stuff, that you find anybody trying to have a good time. That's usually what we find. We don't find a lot of dealings out there, and sex trafficking. It's been a community thing to kind of get on that and see what we can do to deter that from coming into our community, or if it's already here, then trying to get rid of it out of our community. So money laundering, we've dealt with some of those issues, but unfortunately, fortunately for us, we were able to kind of find the actors in that, and that's money laundering is the one that you really get a good network of information sharing from all the other casinos, because they'll hit all of them. They'll go starting down south and they'll just head all the way upstate just to kind of wash that money as they go. So we kind of already know, and the casinos are already versed in money laundering too. They have a person that's in charge of their tax stuff, so that's their sole job is to watch stuff like that.
Well, you said you started your career in Manistee? With
the tribe, yes.
But with the city of Manistee?
No. So I started with the tribe. I was approached by the director back then in 2005 to apply for they had an opening. They wanted to send 2 cadets basically to the academy. Yeah. This is before anybody was sending people to the academy. And so I was one of the ones selected, and went to Artesia, New Mexico for 4 months. And we got my police license through the feds through there. And then came back, and back then we didn't have a cross-deputization agreement, but we had to be MCO certified. So we had to take on a part-time position outside of the tribe. So all of us had part-time positions.
Yeah.
So I started my part-time in Lake County. I was a Lake County deputy over the summers. And then City of Manistee and the tribe had a kind of like a part-time agreement that some of us would go over there and be police officers. So I did that for a few years. And back in 2014, I was a sergeant with the tribe and decided Manistee had an opening. And I went over there I got hired by them for a year. I was actually up for Grand Rapids and Manistee, and something fell through with Grand Rapids, but Manistee picked me up, and Chief Bachman was there. And he said, well, what if Grand Rapids comes calling? And I said, no, I'm not going to leave. And he goes, well, what if the tribe says they want a new chief? And I go, no, I'm done with the tribe. I'm done with it. And as soon as they got an opening for their chief, I get calls, you got to come back. You got to take the chief's job. And I head tucked down, walked into his office and Chief Bachman's office, and I said, I'm sorry I lied to you. And he goes, I figured you would. It's okay because you're moving up. You're not making you're not leaving us for the same position. You're leaving us to move up. And so that he's had my respect since that day, because, I told him I would. And usually if I give you my word, that's what it is. And he totally understood and never held that against me and helped me out while he was here. So I was with the city full time for a year, and then came back and been chief ever since here.
Always wanted to be in law enforcement? Or?
Yeah, I did. Just, always wanted to. Just didn't feel I had the network or support to do it. Because anytime I took a job, I was always, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant or something, but I'd start low level and I'd work myself up into management positions, and then I'd just stay stagnant. And luckily I was playing in a basketball tournament in Manistee because my mom lived here, and she introduced me to the director, Joe Laporte, back then.
Joe's good shit.
Oh yeah.
It's been years since I've talked to Joe, but every interaction I had with him, I'm like, this guy's cool.
Yeah. So he we talked at the basketball tournament, and he said, you should apply, and I was like, this is the chance, this is what you've been waiting for. You said you didn't know how to do it, so you did it. So, and I'm glad I did. It's been good. The best thing I had was those guys contacting me, wanting me to lead them, into the future of that department, because it had some trying times at that when I left. It was pay, morale, stuff like that, and we've got those things fixed, and I got a good group of guys, and turnover has been basically zero since
awesome.
I've been there. I lost a couple people, but all people, but most of the guys, I have the majority of my staff been there almost 20 years plus, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because I got to start looking for the younger generation.
Yeah.
So, but we're starting to get those guys in. We just we just did some postings for 2 new positions, and those weren't to replace anybody. Those were
additional
future. Those were additional to look for the future. Like, hey, we might lose some people here in the next couple of years. We don't want to have to run to replace. We want to be able to smoothly transition to a whole new era.
So is that a lot like Chief Glass wants to have another officer? It's not quite in budget. You got to go to city council, get approvals. You do the same thing with tribal council.
Yep.
Try to find the funding. And
same exact process. We went to tribal council. I basically showed them. I showed them the list. I said, "Hey, this is what I have. It's I know it's an investment now, but it's gonna be a bigger budget hit in the future if we have to. If we're short and we're not planning for the future. With the guys 20 years in, they're already looking at either retiring or looking for other opportunities to do while they still have the opportunity. So I said, these guys, most of the guys committed 20 years to a place. That's a long time.
It's a long time.
And I said, but 10 years to say, if they give me 30, 10 years isn't a long time to get those people replaced.
Yeah.
So I said, we need to start figuring these things out now rather than trying to rush to hire people later in life, especially now in law enforcement where you can't find people anymore.
It's like teaching.
Yeah, exactly.
It's I think even still today, it's still a little. People are hesitant to go into law enforcement just because of the fucking in your face.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you've got a handful of that, but
yeah, and it's. I wish the good stuff was publicized as much as the bad stuff.
Sure.
If we didn't have all the bad stuff thrown in our faces, I think they'd understand that it's a rewarding position to be in. There, especially here, it's not car chases and foot chases and all that, but it's still exciting at the same time. and long hours, but, it's rewarding. I mean, we work, 14 days a month. We usually work less than teachers do.
Yeah.
And so, and then couple that with your time off and your holidays and things like that, it's a rewarding position, career to be in, and I wouldn't change it.
Are you guys into, or do you do like SWAT training, scuba stuff, like all in on that?
Yes, we do. We are with the Northern Michigan Mutual Aid Team. So we have an officer assigned to there, and that's basically your SWAT team, but it's comprised of I forget how many agencies, but a bunch of agencies in Northern Michigan. So we have an officer assigned there, and it's something that I allow them to do. So they want to do something and they bring it to me. I encourage them to go out and explore other opportunities that they can do while working for me, and that, and our guy's been on the team he's moved up quite a bit in the ranks and basically their emergency response team. So there's 3 different cells, and he's part of one of them, and he's a sniper, and just
that's hardcore.
Yeah, hardcore, nice. Right? There's not many opportunities in Northern Michigan to have those, right. but to get that, but he's one of them. And then I used to have 2 officers on the dive team. Now I have 1, and we totally outfitted him. He's dove in his personal life, so he was very interested in getting on the dive team, and that's ran by the sheriff's office. So there's a lot of up here. You got to be creative on how you move, and we have a K-9 officer, and soon to have another K-9 officer. So we'll have two on staff, and just found it to be a need for this community. We have meetings with the tribe, and it's called a membership meeting, and we bring our K-9s in, and just the highlight of the show, Yeah. So, and I was like, well, if we only have one on half the time, then let's give somebody an opportunity. And, that's the biggest thing that people come in is when they come in as recruits or applicants or anything like that is, it's the first thing they ask about, what about K-9? And I'm like, well, we do have a K-9 program. Now I'm putting a second K-9 on. Now 2 people have opportunities for it. And then as those people transition up, we can get more people those opportunities. And I don't like to sell people something that I can't give them, And one of the guys that came to me, he's like, I'm really interested in K-9. And I'm like, okay, hey, the opportunity will be there. I can't give it to you, but I can say that the opportunity is there for you. So I like to build those things. And anything else that our officers want to do, they've seen in law enforcement that could benefit the tribe, the community, I wholeheartedly back them. I won't do the research. I'm not going to look to see how much it costs. I'm going to pass that to you, because if you go and do the research, you bring me all the, everything, I know you're committed to that. Yeah. Other than that, then if you want me to do it, I'm not gonna. I have too much other stuff on my plate to handle something is in your wheelhouse.
Dude, I gotta tell you that I think a lot of people just assume that the tribal police are just hanging out on the reservation and walking through the casino. Mm-hmm. This is. I knew you guys did a lot of shit, especially talking with Sheriff Gutowski and how you guys work together. But I think this is great. I mean, to let people know exactly. I mean, there's people that know, and there's a lot of people that don't know. Oh yeah. That this has been really rad, man. Good. Learning all this stuff about what you guys do out there, which is really cool. The only other thing I would say is I think a powerlifting competition between you and Goots would be awesome.
Well, you arrange that, and I'll see if he shows up.
Have you been to his gym?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I've been to his gym.
Okay. I was trying to set up a workout with him, and he's like, "Well, I mean, if you can come around like 10 o'clock at night or And I'm like, no, dude, I'm sleeping for 2 hours by then. Like,
That's me.
You're nuts.
Yeah.
But man, I appreciate you coming on.
Sure.
Thank you so
man,
much.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.